And welcome to part 2 of the modeling a biped and rigging a biped. This is primarily the rigging the biped tutorial. We're going to do a little bit more modeling on this to prepare it for the rigging. But like I said, first of all, let's go ahead and get this guy a little bit more prepared. I want to refine his look a little bit, and that will involve scaling him down a little bit in the X direction. So let's go ahead and do that. We got him selected, and let's press the R key to scale him. We're just going to scale him, like I say, in the X direction. Make him a little bit thinner, and we'll have to move those eyes a little bit as well. I think, let's see, that looks pretty good right about there. Move those eyes in so that they fit the new size of the body a little bit better. We'll sort of eyeball it, pun intended. Also, before we rig it, I want to combine the objects of these two eyeballs with the body. So we do that by selecting all three of them, no particular order, and then we go into the mesh menu and click on combine. And now they're all part of one object. And let's rename that object. Let's just give the guy a name. I'm going to call him Joe. You can call him whatever you want. And I want to refine the way these eyes look as well. So let's go in tighter on his skull here. And let's go into the vertex mode. Let's bring the bridge of his nose back a little bit. And let's bring these parts of his temple on either side a little bit more forward. I mean, we want him to have bug eyes, but not quite so buggy, maybe. That's good. And let's bring the cheekbones back a tiny bit. That's better. And I want to give him a more defined nose. So let's go back into the object mode, and we're going to use the multi-cut tool again, and let's click here and here for his nose, and also down here. Hit enter, and let's do something to mirror that on the other side. Then in a little bit and enter. And that looks pretty even. Let's go back into the vertex mode, and I just want to make those a little bit more symmetrical. And let's bring the nose up a little bit here. Make it a little bit more defined, and let's bring the tip out a little bit more. Let's give the back of his head a little bit more of a scoop inward. And let's give him just maybe a little bit more of a chin under there. Also want to refine his mouth a little bit. So let's go back into the multi tool multi-cut tool, and let's give him some lips. Good. And then when we smooth this, it'll be more refined and defined. So let's also bring those lips out a little bit. Just these here on the front, so we can easily grab those this way without getting any others. And separate them a little bit. And pull them outward a little bit, like that. And in fact, let's just get these here, pull those out even a little bit more. All right, getting close here. Now let's give him some color for his pants as well as his shoes and his shirt, and give him some color to his skin as well. So to do that, let's go into we got to get out of that multi-cut tool. Let's go into the faces mode, or face mode. So we just want to get the legs and the hips here, and we can do a selection box there. Okay, so we don't want to get the shoes or any part of the shirt at this time. And right click on that. Let's assign new material, and let's give him a Lambert on that. Let's name that pants, and let's give him some blue pants. And there, that's looking pretty good. You might want to make them a little bit darker. And you, of course, can choose any color you want. It's important that the colors stand out from the background. All right, let's give him some shoes. So draw a selection box that grabs all the shoes. Don't forget that you need to get the top part too. So just rotate him however you need to get a good selection. And let's assign a new material for that one, and we'll give him some shiny shoes with a blend. And let's rename that shoes. And I'm going to give him some brownish shoes, so we need to go over to the kind of red-orange area and choose a brown. And that should work. And of course, we're looking at this through the default light. And of course, we're also going to be smoothing this later on as well. All right, let's give him a shirt color. And so I'm going to select all of this and go around back, make sure that we selected these by mistake. And that's what happens a lot of times when you're in the perspective mode, because you can't draw a perfectly clean straight line visually without going to the one of the side or front views. So we can get rid of this real quick by hitting Control and then just selecting around those, or deselecting. All right, and let's also check the hands to make sure that we didn't get any that we didn't want. And we're also missing some here. So Shift select those, or we could use the paint selection tool. that looks pretty good. So let's give him a shirt. Right click, assign new material, and we'll give him another Lambert and rename that shirt. Okay, and let's give it a color. I'm going to go for a red and maybe not so bright. Take it down a little bit there. Kind of more of a brick red. That works. Alright, and then let's give him some skin color. So we need to select his hands and shift select here, his other hand. Make sure that we got just what we want. Okay. And then for the face, since we have the eyeballs here, we will be using the paint select tool to get more discrete selection, but it's pretty easy to just grab the top here and then all these below the eyes. And we can also select these in the front if we want. Many different ways of doing things, but we'll just stay with the select tool. And that looks good. I think we got everything that we want. Yeah, they're all looking like they've got that matrix, gold matrix there. And so we've got the hands and the neck and the face, and assign new material. And let's give him a skin color. Let's rename that skin. And let's go for a kind of a medium brown. There we go. That should work. Nice. Okay. Also, one thing I want to do additionally is make these arms a better shape, so they're not so rectangular but more squared, so when we do rig him, they'll move and bend a little bit better. So we can do that in the faces mode if we want, and we can do the hands and arms together. So scale it this way a little bit, and then let's look at it and see if it looks pretty square. Yeah, that looks better. The fingers are going to be a little thinner too, which is good. And I think I want to move the arms back a little bit as well. That looks pretty good. So let's take a look at this in the smooth preview mode. Nice, I like that. And actually, I think he could probably be a little bit thinner this way, so let's just do just a little bit more. Yeah, I like that better. Got a real egghead shape. He's an egghead. Let's make that head just a little, maybe a little bit less egg shaped. We can do that. Okay, I like that. And also another thing I want to do before rigging him is make a couple of duplicates just so we're set up to do some morph targeting. And since this is such a low poly model, we can easily get away with having some duplicates around up and around him. So let's duplicate him. Let's do Command D and move that duplicate over and up a little bit. And let's do another one. Command D, move him over and up, just so it's not right in the way. And let's do some morph targeting with him. Okay, so let's start with this one and go to the vertex mode, going tight on him, and we're just going to do some basic O, open mouth and O shaped phonemes for him. So we got this one and this one. Let's take those up, and this one and this one. Let's take those down. And again, we're going to make this kind of an O shape, like hello world kind of a thing. And let's bring those out a little bit so it doesn't look so pinched. Alright, good. And then let's go over to the other one and just make that a kind of a more just open mouth with a smile. And let's get the corners to curl up a little bit, get our smile. And we can make these go up a little bit too with that smile. Okay, so let's go into the object mode. We got them selected, and then select the original, and we need to go into the rigging, deform, blend shape option box, and let's call this smile open, and create. Alright, so let's check to make sure that's there. We need to go to Windows to get our animation editor. That is under the shape editor, so we can test that now. So we can see the, there he is, there he's starting to smile. We like that. Okay, and then let's do the other one. Select first the morph target and the original. This time we can go into the shape editor create menu and name it O underscore U underscore R. That can cover a few of those things. Then click create. Right, and then you see it shows up here in our shape editor, and we can test it out by going like that. Smile. Alright, and then we can animate those with keyframes later if we decide we want to do that. But in the meantime, let's minimize that, and let's go in and let's hide these. Select them both, and we can go to display and hide selection. Alright, so they're not in the way. Alright, let's go ahead and get down to business with rigging this character. And let Joe move and walk and talk and whatever he needs to do. First of all, I want to bring him up in size and up above the grid. So select him and bring him up. Look from the side here. And now he's pretty much right there on top of the grid. He's a good enough size. I think that works. Let's go into the rigging menu, and then I got skeleton. Let's create some joints, and let's do something real simple with him. Front view, and under skeleton, let's create joints, and let's start with a pelvis, and let's go to the left leg and create a hip, then right around the knee area, then right around the ankle area, and then let's go to the side view, and let's give him a toe, and then enter. Okay, and let's do the same front view again, and let's go back into the skeleton tool, G, and let's select that spine first, and then let's give him another hip, another knee, another ankle, and then another foot. Enter. Back to the center view and back into the joint tool. Click right in the center of the pelvis, and let's give him a couple for the spine, and then let's go up and give him a clavicle, and then shoulder, elbow, and wrist. Let's go to the top view, and let's move this shoulder, let's move it more to the center, and then press G to go back into that tool, and we want to give him just a little bit of finger control, probably one knuckle each. So start with the thumb, enter, G, then we need to get those joints a little bit smaller so we have better control. So let's go into Windows, Settings, Preferences, and Preferences, and then under Kinematics, let's make the joint size quite a bit smaller. You can see it going down, and I'd say right about there is good. And let's save that. Alright, back into the joint tool, and let's go up and create some fingers. And when you get to the end of each of these, we need to go back and start over from that point. And middle finger, enter, and back here, the ring finger, enter, back into the joint tool, and the pinky, enter. Alright, let's take a look at that from the front. Looking good. And then from here, let's mirror the joints. Go into skeleton, mirror joints, option box, make sure it's in the YZ direction, and apply. And we should have something very close to what we just did. We probably need, we need to adjust it a little bit. Let's go into the top view. Yeah, that Shoulder needs to be moved in to match the other one a little better. And those fingers look just about right. Maybe we could move the elbow a tiny bit. Make it match. That looks good. Okay. Now let's go ahead and make the neck and the bone to the head. Let's go into the joint tool, and from here let's bring it up to the neck and to the top of the head. That's all we'll have for that. Okay, and so we've got the whole thing there. Now what we need to do is get these ready for doing IK. And so let's select these two foot/ankles, move them back a little bit. That gives our knee a bend. That's not quite that much. And let's get these two hips, move them back a little bit too. And let's get the two knees and just move them forward a little bit. That gives it a good bend for inverse kinematics. And the same with the elbow, or the elbows. Select that and then shift select the other one. Let's move them back a little bit. Then arrow down and let's move this one back and the other one back here so that there is a nice bend in that elbow. We're not going to have any IK in the body, in the spine, so we'll just leave that as it is. Alright, so now let's go ahead and create some IK for the legs. Then we'll go to the skeleton and create IK handle. So we select this joint and this joint, and there we have our IK handle. And after we skin it, then it will work just the way we want it. And then we want to do an IK handle for the right leg. There we go. Let's check that out. Just grab the IK handle. Yep, looks good. Alright, let's do the same for the arms. It'll be the left and the right. So skeleton, create IK handle, and we want it there and there. And the same for the other side. Here and the wrist. Okay, so those are good for now. And let's bind this puppy. So select the object wireframe and then shift select the pelvis and let us bind it. Let's go into skin, bind skin. And there it is. Let's take a look at it. And let's see what kind of bind we got here. Good. And we see we're going to have to do some adjusting on the skin weights. And we have the leg. We'll have to do the skin weights adjustments on that as well. But before we go into doing the skin weights, let's refine this mesh and smooth it out. Make sure it's selected. Go to the modeling menu, mesh and smooth. And that's good. Now it gives us a little bit more of an ability to refine the skin weights. Now that we have it selected, let's go back to the rigging menu, skin, and paint skin weights in the option box. Alright, so now you can see we need to make a lot of adjustments. I don't have all these named, but you can go into the outliner. Let's take a look at that. And you can change the names of these joints. You can see they're in a tree, and under the family. So joint 1, let's just rename that quickly, the pelvis. Joint 2 is the left hip. Let's open these down the tree here. Joint 3 is the left knee. Joint 4 is the left ankle. Joint 5 is left toe. All right. Joint 6 is the right hip. Then we'll open that up on the left side tree. Right knee. Right ankle, right toe. Joint 10 is spine 1. Joint 11 is spine 2. Joint 12 is left clavicle. Let's go ahead and open up this tree for the hand. So left clavicle, then left shoulder, left elbow, left wrist. And I'm not going to name all the fingers. We won't take time. If you want to go ahead and do that, you can. Let's close these up. Joint 31 is right clavicle. Right shoulder. Right elbow and right wrist. And again, we'll just get it down that far and let you do the names on the other. This is joint 49 will be the neck, and joint 50 the head. All right. So now when we do the skin weights, we'll know what we're talking about. I don't quite like the position that the neck is in. I think I want to move that. So let's unbind it. Go to skin, unbind, and let's move that back a little bit. That's better. And then let's rebind it. Select the skin and then the pelvis. Go to skin, bind skin. Okay, so let's do some skin weights adjustments. Select the mesh, go into skin, and paint skin weights option box. Alright, so let's start with the pelvis, and let's make our tool a little bit bigger, and holding down the control key, let's get rid of some of these influences that we don't want that far away from the pelvis. Leave them to the local joints. And same with the hips and the knees and the legs. Down at the feet. And let's go ahead and, without that, let's add some more control here for the pelvis. All right, next is the left hip. We want to take away any influence that doesn't belong there. Front and back. Got a little erroneous shape here that must have been from when I was doing something in the front, but that's okay. It won't affect it. And then let's flood that area so it has full influence. Maybe a little less here, just in case. All right. And left knee. And I like the way that's coming along. And flood that knee with control. And left ankle. Let's just fill that. And get rid of any other influence that doesn't belong there. Maybe there's a little too much up here. I want you to make note of the settings here. You have paint, replace this profile, and 1 in the opacity value and minimum maximum value. And to remove, remember, we're holding down the control key to remove influence while we're doing the painting. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Let's go to the left toe and remove anything up here that doesn't belong, and over here. And we can give the toe some influence right there, the tip. All right, next, get rid of, on the right hip, get rid of the erroneous influences. flood that area. Get that little kind of half shaded, some of those areas. Okay, and that's looking pretty good. Let's go to the right knee. Yeah, I've got a lot of stuff to get rid of there. You'll notice that, and I didn't point it out, but when you are not holding down the control key, the tool, the paint tool, will find its way around the shape. And that's why we're able to get even in areas that we're not pointing directly at. And let's flood that knee area. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Then let's go to the right ankle. And we can get rid of a little bit of this. I think it'd be good. There's also some here on the other leg that we don't want. And up above here. Let's go ahead and flood that area. Maybe a little less here. Okay, and we'll give a little influence to the toe. Got to get rid of this for the toe. Now up to the arms and other areas. Spine 1, spine 2. That's all right. We want to get rid of all the influence that's up here in the head. Let's go to the left clavicle, get rid of this, and any of this. In fact, let's flood the neck control with the head, since we're not going to use the head joint to control anything. Shoulder, we need to get rid of all this. This is the left shoulder. Don't want any of that influence on here to deform it. So we're just going to go back and forth and remove and fill in areas that we need filled in. Left elbow, looking good. Gotta get rid of this. And the hand, the wrist. There's your thumb joints. Index. If we're going to do any real discrete movement on that, then we'll want to make it our tool smaller, and but I'm not going to spend the time to go into the details on that too much. But if you're ready for the tedium, go ahead, and you'll just have to get in there really tight on those. Okay, right shoulder. Okay, right elbow. And the right wrist. Okay. And again, I'll leave that to you whether you do the fingers or not. And let's try this rig out. So, click off of it, and let's work on the legs and see how they're reacting. If there are any more adjustments we need to make. I think that hip's looking a little weird. Yeah, indeed. There's some more adjustments that need to be made there. Let's go back into it and check those. Left hip, left knee. Let's give that hip a little bit more influence down here. As well as the ankle, we got to get rid of this. Somehow that crept in there again. And let's do the same on the other side. In the knee, and how's that looking? Ankle, yeah. Let's give that a little more influence. See if that helps. All right. Let's try again. With the legs. That's looking better. A little bit too much influence up there in the back. Let's do the right hip the same way. Let's see how they check against each other. Yeah. But that's looking workable. Let's give those shoulders more influence. Maybe that'll help. Let's give it more influence out to the elbow. Maybe that'll mitigate that deformation that's taking place. left shoulder. Okay, give that a little more influence. But not too much. Okay, let's do another test. That's looking much better. I can live with that. That's looking better too. And just for grins, let's take a look at those knuckles and see what kind of movement we can get on those. Get those fingers curled down a little bit. Not too bad. Arrow down to the next one, and this one. And the thumb a little bit. Let's see how they look. Yeah, that's a little more natural looking. I'll do the same on the other side. Okay, see how they look from this side. That's pretty good. Looks like I got a little extra influence there on that. We could do this forever. But let's see if we can get some kind of action out of that. There, that's where it is. Okay, let's get rid of that. And here. And maybe a little bit more in other places too. Yep, there it is. That's too much from that. From the thumb, that's where it was. We still got some from one of the other joints, or a couple other joints. Here it is. I think that took care of it. Much better. Okay. And this side seems to be just fine. All right. Still haven't done the head. Let's try rotating the head a little bit. That's good. Yeah, a little too much influence down there on the neck. So let's fix that real quick. Let's try it out. Neck joint, rotating. Yeah, much better. We can rotate this way and the other way. Good. It is reasonable. Okay, so we are finished rigging this character named Joe, and in the next tutorial we will do some basic animation.